Good morning. It's June 8th, and welcome to the Mark Yu and Wawi show. This is Mark Yu.
And Wawi Santos, good morning, investors.
Good morning. Good morning. So,
Musta kayo dyan?
to our listeners, just to let you guys know, if you can't, watch on YouTube while you're working or driving to work, especially kung malayo yung drive nyo, you can always check us on Spotify and Google Podcasts. You can download us and, listen while you're driving or while you're doing your groceries. And hopefully you support us, continue supporting us.
Nice. O, ano bang topic natin ngayon?
Sure. Before we go to topic, Kuya Wawi, disclosure lang ulit to our listeners. I know we're very discussing all the financial investments that are possible out there, especially in the stock market. Pero just to let our listeners know, my name is Mark. So I have a investing experience since 2011, and I do this as a hobby as well as passion. And si Kuya Wawi, how long have you been investing, Kuya Wawi?
Actively investing, siguro mga 3.5 years. So hobbyist din ako. So don't take anything as an investment advice.
Yes.
We're just sharing information. I like to aggregate news. So pag may nasagap ako sa radar ko, I just like to share with our listeners what we're learning.
Yeah, we share the same passion, Kuya Wawi. That's why we decided to make this podcast. And as a profession, we're both physical therapists, licensed physical therapists here in the US. So
keep moving.
Yes, keep learning. Learning never stops. Ika nga. So yung topics natin, Kuya Wawi, ano nga ba? Yung mga topics natin, what's up with Wall Street? And then
what's up?
Next would be crypto primer. So Kuya Wawi will discuss everything and anything we need to know to begin, information about crypto. The next would be stock of the week, my pick, and Kuya Wawi's pick for sure. Magdidigin tayo ng konti sa mga stocks na to. Next would be our finance word of the day, which is profit margin. Very critical to for our investors for sure. Profit margin. And then second to the last would be book recommendation. And then the last one would be our quote of the week. So let's begin, Kuya Wawi. What's up with Wall Street? Ano ba ang mga nasagap natin?
Everyone is getting into the cloud. So alam naman natin, pinag-usapan natin last week, we were talking about Amazon. And Alibaba is investing 1 billion for cloud development. So they're getting bigger into that.
Malaking company din tong Alibaba, no? Coming off from China.
Yes, and they just got through with their parang sila, 'di ba? Na-hold sila ng government. But now okay na uli sila, so they're going out and investing.
Right. I think it's because of their founder actually, si Jack Ma. Masyadong madaldal. May sinabi siyang negative about the Communist Party. Yan.
Yes, kaya kailangan mag-ingat tayo, baka ma-jack man rin tayo.
Mag-jack tayo din oras. Oh, okay. So this morning, Kuya Wawi, ito lang. As of now, ang daming down na websites nakikita ko.
Yeah. That's crazy. So anong nangyayari? Bakit nagda-down ng mga websites na ito? Pati AWS daw.
Right. So if you guys check downdetector.com, you would actually see for free, no subscription needed, ano yung mga websites down, like Spotify, New York Times, even Bloomberg, some down. Maraming down this morning, pero swerte lang yung Zoom open. Okay pa rin.
Yes, and Facebook is still open.
Facebook is still open.
Ano kaya yan? Data center problem? Ano kaya yan?
Sana nga no major hacking issue, lalo na ngayon. Our next next thing on our Wall Street list is the jobs report. Usually for our listeners, no, yung jobs report, it comes out every first Friday of the month. The government reports this number to the public. That way the public knows what's going on with the economy, kamusta yung job employment. So the more employment, the better. Lalo na nagkaroon tayo ng pandemic, bumagsak lahat, maraming walang trabaho. Pero last Friday, jobs grew by almost 560,000 kumpara nung April. This is May. We added 559,000. April we only added 278. So malaking bagay ito kasi bumagsak yung unemployment rate over time. Less than 6% na tayo compared to like a year ago, which is like over how many? Like 18%. Parang tumapat siya sa Great Depression, 1920s. So ngayon, nag-improve na yung jobs market.
It's a good sign.
It's a good sign our economy is recovering. Ito pang medyo specific, maraming nag-add na jobs, almost 14,000 sa motion picture and sound recording. Mga gumagawa ng movies.
Buhay na naman ang Hollywood.
Ay, ang Hollywood. It says here, yung average salary nila is $35 per hour. Wow. Tapos yung bumagsak naman, overall is scenic and sightseeing. They lost about 3,000 jobs. Next, the one na nasagap namin sa Wall Street ni Kuya Wawi is yung cellphone carriers dito sa US. They're offering major discounts for new customers. Nag-aagawan sila sa new customers. Kasi tatlo lang naman sila, diba? Or apat, Kuya Wawi. AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile and Sprint. T-Mobile and Sprint nag-combine na. So nakita ko dito yung ilan numbers lang. Kung sinong interested kumuha ng bagong iPhone, you might wanna take advantage of these discounts. AT&T is offering $700 for the new iPhone 12 with 2.5 years lockup period. Verizon may $700 credit for 2-year commitment. Tapos may $300 gift card ka pa. Baka for their equipment or charger or whatever. So that's
without the discount, how much would that be?
I think it's that's a really good question. I'm ko $1,100 or $1,200, not to be specific.
And so you're gonna knock off at least $400 off your phone.
Yeah, malaking bagay. Yeah, $700.
Malaking bagay nga yan.
Tapos T-Mobile is offering pinaka-generous T-Mobile, $1,000 if you sign up with them for 2 years. So,
okay, and on my end, let me just check yung nangyari dito sa mga FDA approval.
Okay.
So the company is Novo Nordisk.
Fresh pa to, Kuya Wawi. Parang kahapon lang to, no?
Yeah, sariwa pa to. Fresh na fresh. From Novo Nordisk, the company that came up with the dementia drug, Wegovy, inapproved ng FDA, but I don't know, some conflicting reports on the effectivity of the drug. But I heard some reports that they have a partner in Japan that's gonna come up with another medication for Alzheimer's. So maybe that's why the FDA approved this.
Yeah,
I don't know. And another thing, looks like the FDA is approving a lot of interesting drugs. So along with this new dementia drug that they approved yesterday, and they haven't approved any dementia drug for the last 20 years. They also approve a weight loss drug. Nako, pwede na akong mag-weight loss niyan. According to their study, 6-week study, naglulose daw ng weight ng 15%.
Wow.
So check it out on the news. This weight loss drug.
Sino gumagawa, Kuya Wawi? AstraZeneca kaya yan or?
Yeah, I was writing it down kanina, but I guess I didn't write it down. But you can check it out on the news. New weight loss drug approved by the FDA.
All right.
And that might be an interesting stock to review.
We're gonna take a closer look on that. Definitely, Kuya Wawi. We can go back to it in our future episodes. The next thing is I recognize is yung mga hot stocks or hot mutual funds are trending nung first quarter of this year, January to March, are actually going down so far. Ngayon, June. One is the SPAC, or yung na-mention natin before. Ito yung mga private companies trying to merge with publicly listed blank companies para maging public. So SPAC, meron siyang fund or ETF that you can buy in if you want to bet because it's clearly somewhat difficult to see ano yung future prospects ng isang company na wala pang history of earning any money. So SPAC or SPAK as an ETF, if you bought into it, so far since January, down siya ngayon ng 4% kumpara sa S&P 500, which is the 500 major companies, na up naman ng 14%. Also, yung mainit-init na mutual fund or ETF called ARK Innovation na si Cathy Wood.
Cathy Wood. Cathy Bay.
Cathy Bay daw kasi before anything else. So, sobrang galing ni Cathy Woods last year na grabe yung fund niya na nag-grow up to almost how much? 50 billion? So, medyo nag-burst yung bubble ni Cathy Bay because I think investors are trying to gauge now kung legit pa rin yung fundamentals behind the company. So, herself, she launched this ETF fund which holds a lot of stocks in it, like mostly tech. Is down 10% so far this year compared to the S&P 500 na up na 15%, 14%.
I'm gonna try to share my screen so the people can see the top 10 holdings of ARK Invest.
Yan, maganda yan. Para malaman natin ano yung ini-invest ng fund na to ni Cathy Woods.
So as you can see Tesla, Teladoc, Roku, Square, Shopify, Zoom, Twilio, Coin, and Spot, and Zillow.
Okay, so 10% ng fund niya naka-invest lang sa Tesla. Laking exposure.
Yes, and volatile ang Tesla ngayon. It's going up and down. And
so, looking at go ahead, sir.
Yeah, last time we talked, it was down about 37%.
Wow. Down siya 37% from all-time high, right?
Yes, from January, all-time high.
So I look at it so far this year, Tesla since January 1st is down 17%. So right now, maybe the reason why ARK is down a lot because of its exposure to Tesla and other, high-flying tech companies. Kasi ang laki ng exposure niya sa Tesla.
So there's bearish sentiment for both that ETF, ARKK, and Tesla at this time.
Definitely. For our listeners, bearish sentiment is like negative sentiment. So in Wall Street, dalawang tinitingnan, bull or bear. So pag bull, ang inisip ng mga tao, going up yung market. Pag bear, it's the total opposite. It's going down. So right now, bearish yung mga investors dito sa dalawang fund na sinabi namin. And next would be the yung itong AMC naman, Kuya Wawi. Babanggitin ko lang for some of our listeners bakit I would consider not investing in it despite it's still up. Kahapon lang 15% up na naman siya. So reasoning ko sa AMC why I would definitely stay away from it kasi yung numbers niya don't look good. There are things that I look in the company, some of which we will discuss now, na magde-determine for me to have it a good company to invest in. So ang tinitingnan ko lagi if nagde-generate ba siya ng profit and kung marami ba siyang utang. So i-skip natin yung 2020 muna because that was definitely a bad year for everyone. So pero nung 2019 when everything was healthy, yung AMC theaters actually didn't generate any profit, Kuya Wawi. So in normal year operation, negative 150 million sila loss.
Nalulugi.
Lugi sila even before the pandemic. Tapos yung utang nila during 2019 is nasa 4.8 billion dollars while having only 265 million in cash. So ito pa lang negative na sa akin kasi mahirap for me it's not justifiable to buy into a stock that's losing any money. I mean losing money instead of generating profits. What do you think about that, Kuya Wawi?
Ay nako, ano lang to, puro hype, di ba? It's just a lot of hype. Right. So let me just share the screen. Talagang skyrocket yung graph, di ba?
Right.
So
and like while you're pulling up the screen, Kuya Wawi, last night we also saw like executives ng mismo ng AMC are selling their stock. I tend to post some of my charts naman sa Twitter ko. If you guys want to follow, it's marku_DPT. I sometimes post their like interesting charts. Or if you guys want to join our Facebook Messenger group, send us a message here. We'll definitely add you. Wala namang qualifications, whatever. We just share. Me and Kuya Wawi are always active. We share all the information we talk about.
So as you can see in this chart, nung December, pababa na yung AMC, and then naging excited sila, rallying people to invest in it. February, nag-start ng spike. And as you can see right now, it's really, really up in the...
Way up there. Parang natawag nga nila ngayon, hindi na bull or bear. Ape na eh. Kasi yung kuba ng unggoy. Mataas talaga eh. Going up. So some of the executives that sold is actually, Kuya Wawi, believe it or not, yung CFO nila nagbenta. Chief Financial Officer. So this is the guy who looks at the bank, who looks at the numbers of the company, if it's a good investment or where they should put their money to expand their business. CFO AMC Xian Goodman sold 45,400 shares for a price of $9. Laki na miss niya kasi binenta niya agad yung stock niya. Sana nag-diamond hands na rin siya.
Well, he warned the investors naman, di ba? Right. So that's a good thing. Before he sold his stocks, his shares, he warned the investors about how volatile the company shares are.
I think that was the CEO, yes. The
CEO did, okay.
So solid, Kuya Wawi, solid naman yung CEO. Hindi pa rin siya nagbebenta.
Oh, okay. So that's good.
Proceeding on to our next topic, crypto primer, Kuya Wawi. What do you have for us for the cryptocurrency markets?
Okay, so back on the speculative market, I just wanted to talk about cryptocurrency. So people know about Bitcoin and Ethereum kasi yung dalawang crypto assets na popular ngayon. Yung Bitcoin, it started back in 2008 after the market crash in 2008. Satoshi Nakamoto nag-invento nito. It works under what you call
Japanese,
a blockchain.
Japanese.
Anonymous.
Hindi pa na-detect, no?
Hindi pa na-detect. Maraming rumor na si Elon Musk daw yun. But I'm just kidding. We don't know who it is. It's just somebody that came up with a solution for the currency problem. Well, let's define cryptocurrency. It's a digital asset designed to work as a medium of exchange. So parang pera talaga siya, wherein individual coin ownership records are stored in a ledger. So yung ledger na tinatawag nila, yan yung nire-record sa individual computers na nagmamine ng Bitcoin or Ethereum. So yun ang tinatawag nilang proof of work. So it works on solving problems, these computers, and then it produces a coin after solving that problem, and it's called proof of work. Now, what's interesting right now is there's a lot of talk, like yung sinabi ni Elon Musk about Bitcoin is using up a lot of energy. So since mining uses computers uses electricity, Bitcoin uses a lot of energy equivalent daw sa electric usage ng Argentina. So that's what's happening right now. So there's a move away from Bitcoin after Elon Musk made a comment about its energy use. So alternatives to that would be Ethereum and like assets like Tezos na medyo little ang use nila ng energy because they work on what they call a proof of stake. So proof of stake is like you have, a number of people or organized groups that are mining using proof of stake. Parang governance sila. They're basically staking the crypto asset rather than mining. So meron silang mga rules. Okay. So it's growing. So the cryptocurrency market is growing right now because there's a lot of speculative interest.
Right.
And as of yesterday, another crypto asset company is planning on increasing its lobbying efforts because they're trying to keep themselves protected from regulation. The company is called Uniswap. So they're planning on like raising about $200 million for lobbying efforts. And I don't know if it's just here in the United States or global. So this is a growing trend. We don't know where it's gonna head. We don't know who's gonna win. But most experts are saying that Bitcoin and Ethereum are, at this point, are value assets at this point.
Sila yung parang leading amongst the bunch. Kasi maraming cryptocurrency dyan nakalista eh. Di ba kay Huawei?
Yeah, and I don't know. I hear like 21,000. Sometimes people will tell me 11,000. So it's in the thousands of different coins.
Bitcoin and Ethereum are the largest ones. Also, yung alam ko sa Bitcoin is like Bitcoin will only produce a limited amount of coins, digital coins for its users. So it's one of the reasons why umi-increase yung value niya kasi law of supply and demand, maraming interested sa Bitcoin, maraming bumibili Bitcoin, pero konti lang yung supply. So tumataas yung price niya.
That's true. They're only gonna mine 21 million Bitcoin.
So it's unlike the US dollar or, per se, kasi for me, ang pagkaintindi ko sa cryptocurrency is they wanna kill or, the currency itself. So crypto, like kryptonite versus Superman, ito cryptocurrency, crypto versus US dollar. So Bitcoin itself is trying to, at least take over the US dollar. But at this point of time, I haven't had experience me paying something for a Bitcoin. So, and to think that would be possible at this point, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of like, for our listeners, you would probably think that I'm kind of negative on cryptocurrency, but maybe times will change in the future.
So the way I look at it is it's an alternative currency that is trying to prove its worth when it comes to transactions. So Bitcoin right now, people are just holding it, but you can buy and sell it. You can send it to somebody through an email.
Right. And I'm looking at the price right now for Bitcoin. It's actually down 43% since May 7th. Last month, parang 1 month ago. Yung Ethereum naman down 29%. So nagsibagsakan pala to Kuya Huawei, itong mga Bitcoin to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the whole Bitcoin market went down. So there's high volatility.
Right. It's primarily because of Elon Musk rin, diba Kuya Huawei? He tweeted something na parang weird, cryptic kind of tweet about losing interest in Bitcoin because of high energy use.
Yeah, that's one of the things he mentioned. And then he posted something on Twitter with a broken heart.
Yun nga eh. So nag-post lang siya ng broken heart, Bitcoin, bumagsak na yung Bitcoin. Oh my gosh.
So he's like the meme king when it comes to crypto assets. Yeah, so he can move the market along with Michael Saylor, which is the owner of the company called Microstrategy. When they talk, they kind of move the market.
Right. About Microstrategy. So this is a company naman na publicly listed to our listeners. Yung Microstrategy actually yesterday, no Kuya Huawei, they came out with a press release about cryptocurrency. Ngayon, they're taking out loans, corporate debt, 400 million, as I recall, for an interest of 6 to 6.5%. So utang sila, 400 million, may interest na 6.5% per year. Yung 400 million na ibibili lang nila ng Bitcoin.
Yeah, so they're putting a lot of stake
That's quite interesting, lalo na nowadays, because people would like to see, or investors would prefer companies, investing how, para i-expand yung business now that the, jobs are back, people are getting employed, mas maraming allowance or salary to spend. Pero Monster is quite interesting taking this path na they take debt para lang mag-invest sa crypto or Bitcoin primarily.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what will happen to his company in the future.
Right.
And it will be highly dependent on how the crypto asset market prevails or fail.
Right. So on to the next, Kuya Wawi.
Oh, okay. Stock of the week.
All right. Stock of the week. Ikaw, Kuya Wawi, what do you have?
Okay, so stock of the week ko is Blackrock. I like it because it's investing in the Asia Pacific region. It's investing in like clean energy. So it's a big company. Ang kanilang president yata is Larry Fink.
Yes, Larry.
And it's grown a lot since they started. So parang ano siya partner ng Blackstone noon, and then nag-separate sila.
Right.
And he came up with Blackrock, and now it's performing really well, 59%, parang at par with the S&P 500.
Okay, so far this year, so at par siya, okay.
Price performance niya for the 52-week. Right now it's kind of pricey, so medyo rich yung kanyang presyo. It's pegged at 884 right now.
Right.
So as of yesterday.
For our investors, we would, me and Kuya Wawi decided to start, dissecting yung terms, what we look on, especially yung valuations nga na sinasabi, because there are so many ways to value a company. We would start discussing it on our next episode for sure. That way, para mas maging technical na tayo moving forward.
Yeah, so we can assess the company. It's a really big company. Market cap niya is 135 billion. It's got 150 million shares outstanding.
So itong Blackrock na to, Kuya Wawi, it's the one that provides yung mga ETF, di ba? So,
yes.
Kaya marami siyang nalilikom na fund kasi siya mismo is by itself, the Blackrock is an investment manager. So they offer products to the public para mag-invest in. So in return, mag-accumulate siya ng investments, pinapalaki lang yung fund na yun, and then, that's how the business generates money over time.
Yeah, and if you've heard of, yung mga ETF na iShares,
yes,
dyan ang gagaling yan sa Blackrock.
Exactly. All right. So for me, stock pick ko for this week, first time ever, is no other than Apple. For me, yung Apple kasi is the safest bet of all stocks listed publicly. Apple is the largest company in the world. It's $2 trillion and 61.8 billion worth. So market cap niya ito. A market cap is like, yun yung presyo ng buong company. Yun yung valuation ng company as a whole. 2 trillion. So, siya yung pinakamalaking company in the world. Siya yung for me, has a lot of products that would consumers are interested in buying, if not, subscribing to. They have their services, app services. As well as nag-grow palagi yung business niya over time. Like during the pandemic, when everything else is going down except for the big tech, yung Apple din is nag-grow. Nag-grow yung sales niya for 5% nung pandemic instead na bumagsak. So people were still buying iPhones. In fact, they added about 14 billion in sales buying iPhones.
So I just shared the screen so people can see.
For those viewing us in YouTube, you can actually, guys, see Kuya Wawi's screen looking at these numbers that we're looking at. So ito yung mga tinitingnan ko, yung sales, kung nag-grow ba yung sales ng company, and yung profit. So we're looking at, yun nga, nag-add siya ng business 15 billion almost nung pandemic. At the same time, well, yung profit niya naging stagnant. Medyo flat siya. Actually negative. Well, actually, it grew by 4% nung pandemic. Hindi siya flat, sorry. Let me correct myself. It actually grew its profit nung pandemic. So despite the hardships, no, nag-lockdown na yung mga governments worldwide, Apple was still making money. So those are the two things that I look at a company. At the same time, let's look at the debt sa Apple. So yung Apple so far, it has a debt. Yung utang niya is around 13, about 98 plus 13 billion. So 111 billion yung utang niya. Pero yung cash niya is also sitting around 91 billion. So despite na marami siyang utang, Apple has a lot of cash. So they can actually afford to be in debt at this point of time.
Tama ba ako, Mark, na sabihin na if you have a good cash flow, that's a good way to value a company?
Yes, definitely. If a company is making cash or cash flow from their profits, tapos na-afford nila mabayaran yung interest sa utang nila, tapos solid yung balance sheet nila like Apple, I think it's definitely a worthwhile stock to look at and think of investing in. So far this year, Apple is actually up year to date. Well, I'm looking at Apple stock. It's down actually, 5% compared to the S&P 500. So people are not much interested in Apple so far this year, Kuya Wawi. Probably because it's a boring stock. One of the things you want to look into a company is like, nananeglect ba to ng ibang tao? Kasi nga, walang nangyayari masyado. Pero still, nag-generate sila ng income over time. Tapos yung products nila is kind of sticky. They have the iPhone, they have the MacBook, they have the tablet. Come to think of it, I have at least 3 of their products. I have their headset, yung Beats, yung MacBook, tsaka yung tablet. So slowly, I'm actually being like, absorbed. I'm, into the ecosystem ika nga ng Apple. Pero I still want to keep my Pixel. How about you, Kuya Wawi? What phone do you use?
Oh, well, Google ako eh. So, right? So you have Apple and then there's Google. So these are giant companies. Malalaking kumpanya ito. Speaking of Apple, Apple is also venturing into the EV market, right?
Yeah. Electric
so
vehicles.
I heard they were talking to CATL and BYD about developing new batteries for their EV car of the future.
And I think BYD is like where Warren Buffett, one of the world's greatest investors, have a stake in. So BYD is actually located in China, and they're really good at making batteries. And I know they're making bus as well, like public buses. There's a China, so they're making good money out of it. They know what they're doing.
So that's another thing to watch out if you're investing in Apple.
Right.
They're positioning towards the EV market as well.
So
they're gonna compete.
Yeah, parang iPhone na on wheels.
Yes.
So Wall Street has a price target of $160 for Apple, which is a lot higher than where it is right now. It's at 126 per share. So I think there's a safe, long-term investment. If you're gonna be investing for 1, 2, 3 years, 4 years, and not moving your money, I think Apple would be a good investment.
Pero, yeah, I would have to agree. Yes.
But always do your due diligence. We're not investment advisors, but definitely I have investments in Apple. It's part of my top 5 holdings in my portfolio. How about you, Kuya Wawi? Do you have Apple in your portfolio?
Yeah, I have it indirectly under VU and Fidelity's FXIX.
Right. So you mentioned ni Kuya Wawi, VU or VOO is an ETF, exchange traded fund. So it's like a mutual fund or fund na nag-invest directly than sa stock market, but you're more diversified. You're not just exposed to one stock, like what we've discussed in episode 1, I think, Kuya Wawi.
Yeah, I think we tend to gravitate towards stocks that we know. So
Right.
I hold Amazon, stocks among the big FANG, yung tinatawag nating FANG, di ba? The big companies here under the S&P 500. So I hold stocks of Amazon.
Right. So FANG is just for our listeners. FANG is F for Facebook, A for Apple. There's another A for Amazon, and then Netflix, N for Netflix, G for Google. And proceeding on to our next topic, Kuya Wawi, we're almost done. On this
Yeah,
podcast
word of the day.
for finance word of the day for our listeners who are looking forward to this segment. It's profit margin. So ano tong profit margin, Kuya Wawi?
Oh, hindi ko alam. I need you to explain that so I
Sure.
can learn from you, Mr. Mark.
So yung profit margin, basically reading it off of Google, profit margin is a ratio of a company's profit divided by its revenue. So yung profit kasi, the term itself, it's what is remaining after all the expenses are paid, after yung mga taxes, mga employees na bayaran. So yun yung profit. Pero ang margin, it's a percentage. So net profit margin or profit margin tells you at a quick glance kung profitable ba yung company. You always want this percentage positive or higher. Usually, in my experience, I don't usually like a company that doesn't have any profit margin. It means, hindi sila kumikita ng pera. So like Apple, for example, looking at its chart or graph, ang profit margin ng Apple ngayon is 24%. So that's really impressive kasi one way to look at this is it's a percentage, right? So it's over 100. Or in this case, I would equivalent the 100 as a dollar. So sana maka-follow in this natin. So yung profit margin ng Apple going back is 24%. So per dollar that the company, that Apple earns, nakikip niya yung 24 cents. So very profitable to look, because basing on my experience, I barely see any companies go beyond 20% or 20 cents on a dollar. So very profitable ang Apple. For me, profit margin is a key number that you need to look at on a company if you are thinking of buying shares in that company.
So how does it differentiate from gross margin?
So gross margin, it's more of broad margin or profitability measurement. So yung like for what I've discussed earlier, so profit margin, yung net profit margin, yun yung after all the expenses are paid, after the cost of goods, after the operating expenses, yung mga electrical bills, employees, taxes, yun yung net profit margin. Pero ang gross profit margin, I should correct myself, I was referring to net profit margin at this point. Ang gross profit margin na inas ni Kuya Wawi, it's just like probably the top line. Doon siya sa pinakataas after lang nung cost of goods ng company. So for example, company like Apple, balik tayo sa Apple. So they generate sales, yung revenue nila from selling iPhones, for example, pinaka-basic lang. So iPhones. Pero they spent, let's say, almost 60% sa materials or their manufacturer. So natitira sa sales na yun. So revenue minus gross cost of goods sold, yun yung gross profit margin. Pero so usually ang mga companies, as you can see in Kuya Wawi's chart right now sa YouTube viewers natin, gross profit niya is 46%. Mas mataas to kaysa sa profit margin na sinabi ko na 25%. Kasi yung gross margin, nandun pa siya sa taas. Parang yun lang yung equipments or ng cost ng company to get the product to be sold in the public. Pero yung net profit margin or profit margin, yung pinaka-net niya, kasama na doon yung taxes, yung interest sa utang, employees, mga payroll nila. So, if I were to look at the company, I glance at their gross profit margin, but I don't consider that as a definite tool to use to invest in a company. I always look at the profit margin, yung pinaka net nila.
Very good. So listeners, just remember profit margin, very important indicator to value a company.
Right.
Thank you, Mark. Very
No problem.
interesting.
Sure. So yung next segment natin, Kuya Awi, book recommendation.
Okay, well, I'm gonna share a book that my son has shared with me. So this is
Nice.
from Ramit Sethi. I will teach you to be rich.
Oh.
So, okay, di ba? Sa title pa lang. Ano na eh, di ba? Catchy na. So anyway, there's some practical, I browsed through it. There's some practical ideas in here. Medyo ano ito eh, parang millennial book to eh. So syempre.
Does it tell you to invest in real estate or stock market, Kuya Awi, in general?
Well, I think heard my son say na hindi siya masyadong ano sa real estate. He's got some arguments there about investing in real estate. But we'll see. I still need to read it. Okay. Like I said, this is a book directed to millennials, right? Popular sa mga bata eh. So I want to see what he has to say.
I definitely want to know, Kuya Awi. So we need to follow up on that.
Yeah. Magandang future topic.
Right. Yeah, let's follow up on that in the near future. And lastly, quote of the week, Kuya Awi. What is your quote of the week?
Naku, okay. Well, since we touch base on a little bit about China tungkol sa BYD, tingnan natin kung ano yung sinabi ni Confucius.
Yes, Confucius, Art of, siya ba yung sa Art of War, right?
I think si Sun Tzu yun. Si Sun Tzu. Yeah.
Mix up ko na. Pero
so,
Confucius, yes.
So si Confucius yan, parang siya yung sa dialects yata, di ba? Dialects of Confucius. Anyway, ang sabi niya, okay, what he said is, when prosperity comes, do not use all of it. Wow. When prosperity comes, do not use all of it. So save.
Parang ang pagkaintindi ko dyan, pag prosperity comes, so pag dumating yung salary ko, don't use all of it. Tipirin mo yung salary, parang ganun. Or
so,
pag may big payday.
Yeah, so wag mong gastusin lahat, di ba? Right. So with only 9 words dito sa sinabi niyang to, Confucius emphasizes how wealth and prosperity can come and go. So it's imperative not to behave as though they're here to stay. And the way to do that is to live within your means and set aside some of today's wealth for proverbial rainy day. Ayan.
Parang always set aside some money for emergency purposes.
Yes. Rainy day funds, folks.
Right. Ako naman, may quote of the week ako.
Ayun!
So for me,
let's hear it.
This is coming from one of the great investors, Wall Street. His name is, you're familiar with this person, Kuya Awi, I'm sure. His name is Peter Lynch.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hedge fund manager yata yan.
Yes, siya yung during the 80s and 90s, siya yung nag-head ng Fidelity mismo. That's why it has grown a lot. So si Peter Lynch, ang share ko lang na quote niya na sobrang important to our listeners. If you don't understand a company and if you cannot explain it to a 10-year-old in 2 minutes or less, don't own it.
Wow. Malalim yun.
Malalim. So always think about a company na maintindihan mo yung business processes niya or paano sila kumikita ng pera primarily. So that's why we go back to our finance word of the day, which is profit margin. So pag nakikita mo how the company earns its money, like Apple, for example, 70% of their profit comes from iPhone. So as long as may person na nagre-renew ng iPhone or nag-sign up sa bagong iPhone, profit will still, keep coming in. So always try to see where the bottom line is. Bottom line is also, in other words, profit.
Yes, and parang ano yan eh, buy what you know. So you got to know what you're buying.
Exactly. 100% agree with you, Kuya Wawi. So before our closing, mention ko lang, Kuya Wawi, our next week's topic, yung ano natin, magkakaroon tayo ng stock market primer, yung valuation ng company, how it works, paano ba natin win-away kung maganda ba tong company or not. We have already tackled some of it earlier as we've discussed our stock picks.
Yes. So we're gonna learn more from our expert, Mark Yu.
Pati na rin yung ibang market sentiment, right? Kuya Wawi, we take we more or less mention bull or bear, pero saan nga ba natin nakikita itong sentiment na to? What is the market saying or telling us?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we close, just to remind our listeners, thank you for listening today. Please keep supporting us. We're not earning, we're not generating any income from this. It's just our passion. Like every morning, me and Kuya Wawi decide to share whatever we ano man nasasagap namin sa mga balita-balita. Tapos yung share namin insights namin, how we look like into possible stock investments.
Yeah, we're just trying to share, and if it helps you invest and save, we're doing our purpose.
All right. Well, till next time, to our listeners, again, thank you guys.
Okay.
Good morning and have the rest of the week. Have a very good rest of the week.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay. Signing out. Bye-bye.
Bye.